It is a Friday night. Outside your window, the world is moving. You can hear the distant hum of traffic, the muffled laughter of people heading to bars, the sirens, the neon lights, the frantic energy of a society that never seems to know how to stop. But inside, the air is different. It is still. You've just closed your front door, and in that single soft click, the weight of the world has fallen away. Your shoes are kicked off, the lights are dimmed to that perfect golden hue. Your phone is face down on the table, its screen dark, its demands silenced. For a moment, you just stand there. You take a breath, a real breath, the kind you haven't been able to take all day. What does this moment feel like to you? For some, this silence is terrifying. It's a void they need to fill with noise, with people, with movement. They call it missing out. They call it being boring. But for you, this isn't a void. This is a homecoming. You aren't hiding from life. You are finally, after a long day of performing, returning to it. If you are someone who finds more excitement in a quiet corner than a crowded room, you have likely felt misunderstood. You felt the guilt of the canceled plan, the sting of being called antisocial. But what if I told you that your love for staying home isn't a flaw? What if it's a sophisticated psychological response to a world that has become too loud? Today, we are going to peel back the layers of the homebody's heart. We are going to explore the nervous system, the power of control, and the deep, rich world that exists only in the quiet. Welcome home. You are about to feel very, very seen. To understand why you crave this stillness, we have to look at how you are wired. In psychology, we talk about something called optimal arousal theory. It sounds technical, but it's actually quite simple. Imagine every person has a different set point for stimulation. Some people are born with a dial that is set very low. They need the noise, the chaos, and the social friction to feel alive. Without it, they feel understimulated, bored, and restless. These are the people who finish a work week and head straight to a concert. But then there is you. Your dial is naturally set high. You are born with a nervous system that is highly tuned, like a sensitive instrument. You don't just hear a conversation, you feel the emotional undertones. You don't just walk through a grocery store, you process the fluorescent lights, the music, the choices, the brush of a stranger's shoulder. For a person like you, the world is constantly shouting. By the time you get home, your cup isn't just full, it is overflowing. You don't need more stimulation to feel good, you need less to feel normal. Staying home isn't about being lazy, it is about reaching your baseline. It is a biological necessity. Think about that for a moment. Have you ever felt that physical vibration in your body after a long social event? That buzzing under your skin? That is your nervous system begging for a lower level of arousal. When you choose your couch over a party, you aren't being lame. You are practicing internal regulation. You are listening to the rhythm of your own biology. Let's go deeper into that nervous system. We live in an era of constant overstimulation. Our ancestors dealt with a tiger once a week. We deal with 500 metaphorical tigers every time we open our email or walk down a busy street. For the homebody, the outside world is a place of high sensory input. Your brain is working overtime, scanning for social cues, managing your facial expressions, and filtering out background noise. This is monitoring mode. It is an expensive state for the brain to maintain. It burns through your mental fuel. But when you cross that threshold into your house, the monitoring stops. This is the only place on earth where you can drop your guard. This is where your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode, finally takes the wheel. Have you noticed how your shoulders drop an inch the moment you put on your favorite worn-out sweater? Or how your jaw finally unclenches when you realize you have zero obligations for the next 12 hours? This is nervous system regulation in real time. Home is your charger. Without it, you aren't just tired, you are frayed. If you didn't have this time to retreat, you would eventually break. So I ask you, Why do we apologize for the very thing that keeps us sane? Why do we feel less than for needing to heal in the only way our bodies know how? There is another psychological layer here that often goes unspoken, the need for control. The world outside is a theater of the unpredictable. You cannot control the weather, the traffic, or the emotional volatility of the people around you. You are constantly reacting. You are a passenger in the world's chaos. But at home, you are the architect. You are the sovereign ruler of your environment. You decide the volume of the music. You decide the scent of the air. You decide the texture of the fabric against your skin. For people who struggle with anxiety or high sensitivity, this control is not a luxury. It is a sanctuary. It provides a level of emotional safety that allows the mind to stop worrying and start thinking. When you know that no one is going to burst through the door with a demand, your brain can move out of survival mode and into creative mode. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas come to you when you're doing something mundane at home, maybe while you're washing dishes, or staring out the window at the rain? This is not a coincidence. When the environment is controlled and safe, the mind feels free to wander. This brings us to the beauty of the inner world. There is a common misconception that people who stay home are doing nothing. To an outsider, you might just be sitting on a chair with a book, but internally, you are traveling through time and space. You are processing the events of the week. You are building imaginary worlds. You are reflecting on who you were 5 years ago and who you want to be tomorrow. Psychologists find that those who enjoy solitude often score high in introspective intelligence. Your inner life is not a quiet room. It is a lush, vivid garden. People who need constant external entertainment often have a quiet inner world. They need the noise outside because they don't have enough noise inside. But your mind is a studio. You are a deep thinker, a problem solver, an observer. You see the patterns that others miss because they are moving too fast to look. You find depth in the mundane. You see the story in the way the shadows move across the wall. This is a gift. The world's greatest artists, writers, and innovators weren't found in the middle of the crowd. They were found in their rooms. They were homebodies who realized that the most important journey is the one that happens within. However, we must address the shadow. There is a delicate, painful distinction we must make, the difference between solitude and loneliness. They can look identical from the outside, but they feel like two different planets on the inside. Solitude is a choice. It is a full, rich state of being. Solitude says, I am with myself and I am enough. It feels like a warm bath. It leaves you feeling nourished and clear. Loneliness, however, is a lack. Loneliness says, I am alone because I have no other choice. It feels like a cold wind. If you are staying home and feeling a sense of expansion and peace, that is solitude. But we must also ask the harder question. Are you staying home because you love the peace, or because you are afraid of the pain? Sometimes home becomes a shield. If the world has hurt you, if you have experienced trauma, betrayal, or the heavy weight of depression, home can stop being a sanctuary and start being a cage. You might stay inside because the outside feels too heavy. This is what we call avoidant coping. It's important to sit with this for a moment. Do you feel restored after a weekend in, or do you feel smaller? Do you feel more like yourself, or do you feel like you are disappearing? There is no judgment here. Sometimes we need the cage until we are strong enough to open the door. But knowing the difference is the first step towards true healing. Peace is an act of love for yourself. Hiding is an act of fear. Both are human. Both deserve your compassion. One of the most beautiful traits of the homebody is the way they connect with others. You are likely a practitioner of selective connection. Because your energy is a limited resource, you don't spend it on just anyone. You have no interest in the small talk that dominates most social circles. You find it draining, performative, and empty. You don't want to talk about the weather. You want to talk about what makes someone stay awake at night. You want to talk about their fears, their dreams, the books that change them. You may have fewer friends than the average extrovert, but the connections you do have are deep. They are rooted in authenticity. If you let someone into your home, into your sacred space, it means they truly matter. You are a loyal friend, a deep listener, and a steady presence. You notice the tiny shifts in your loved one's moods that others overlook. You give your heart carefully, but when you give it fully. You aren't antisocial. You are pro-depth. You aren't rejecting people. You are rejecting shallow noise. Why does society make us feel so bad about this? We live in a culture of the hustle. We are told that our value is tied to our visibility. If you aren't out there making memories, posting photos, and climbing ladders, you are somehow failing at life. We are taught that rest is laziness, and stillness is a waste of time. But this is a lie. Rest is not the absence of work, it is the foundation of it. Stillness is not the absence of life, it is the essence of it. You are a counterculture. By choosing to stay home, you are staging a quiet revolution against a world that wants to fragment your attention and sell you things you don't need. You are choosing the slow life. You are choosing to drink your coffee slowly, to watch the birds, to read the long book, to feel your own feelings. This is a radical act of self-preservation. It is a statement that says, my time belongs to me. So let us reframe your identity. You are not just a homebody. You are a guardian of your own peace. You are a person who has mastered the art of self-companionship. You are a deep water swimmer in a world of shallow puddles. The
The walls of your home aren't keeping life out. They are keeping your soul in. They are providing the container for you to grow, to heal, and to become who you were meant to be before the world told you who you should be. If you have felt the pressure to change, to be louder, to be more out there, I want you to let that go. Take a deep breath and feel the weight of that expectation leaving your body. You are allowed to love your quiet life. You are allowed to find your joy in a solo Saturday. You are allowed to prefer the company of your own thoughts over a room full of strangers. You aren't broken. You are just built for depth. You are built for peace. The next time someone asks you why you're staying in again, you don't need to make an excuse. You don't need to say you're sick or busy. You can simply say, I'm spending time with someone I really enjoy. And that person is you. As you sit here now, in the quiet of this moment, I want you to look around your space. Look at the books on your shelf, the plant in the corner, the way the light is falling right now. This is your kingdom. This is where you are safe. This is where you are enough. If this journey into the psychology of home has made you feel a little less alone in your solitude, perhaps you'd like to stay a while. We are building a space here for the deep